Okay, so today I am going to analyze the current. When I first started the channel, it was one, because I felt led to, and two, to document the journey. And I've done that to an extent, but today I want to actually look at the current that I'm living right now. So let's do that. Okay, so back in July, I identified my 5 arms of transmutation, and I termed it the Golden Pentagon. The first is spiritual. The goal is union. Second is mental. Goal, well-balanced state. Next is the physical, healthy and fit. Then is finances, sound status, financially free. Then is career, elite development, elite pay. And I mark each corner of the pentagon. The spiritual is at the top, physical and mental at the bottom. Finances and career are the arms. So this is like the crown. This is the foundation that holds everything solid. And these are the extensions as I walk this plane. And then I also quoted Paramahansa Yogananda. One who desires to follow successfully the path of truth should live a life that is materially and spiritually harmonious. So it's not about being overly spiritual, and it's not about being overly material. In essence, because that which powers the spirit and the physical is the same thing. So they're not competing opposites. So then it becomes about integration. And that's why the mission states, this mission is to grow in all phases of life. We start with base metal and transmute into gold. And thus through these 5, transmutation from lead to gold occurs. But my focus today is on the physical. Like the last 3 years, I've been very focused on the spiritual and the mental. Finances have taken a hit. However you look at it, perspective could say that career has taken a step back, and definitely physical suffered. About 3 or 4 years ago, I say I was probably about 145 pounds. At the start of December of 2025, I was at 121. So like a 24-pound drop. That's why this is the focus, because it's kind of been my focus here lately. So this is the current that's under analyzation. Also, before I move, I should read this. Now, that was written back in July of 2025. This, what I am stepping into, is known as base 1, ground level. Much spiritual progression has taken place past 2 years. Now it's time to bring everything into harmony, materially, spiritually. This phase speaks of watering seeds that have already been planted, building consistency. It looked like 2 sets of X as it pertains to physical activity. Each category speaks of a lifelong attention. And so everything that I'm doing on this page, I have already planted in my subconscious like years ago. Now it's all about actually watering the seeds. Thus, what that means is being very intentional and putting attention to these things. And the greatest thing I'm looking at is building consistency. That's why I say it looks like 2 sets of X, not 5 sets, 6 sets. Like, let's start small and easy with the focus of, okay, we building consistency, because this is a lifelong thing, not just for the moment. Okay, let's move on. Now let's move here. December 13th, 2025. So what I just shown was in July. So it's a nice little gap. But this is when I got back focused and was like, okay, it's time to really step into this. So I look back at everything I had written up to this point. So that's why I said everything written thus far is good. Let's expand by minimizing. We're not trying to get everything at one shot. Let's minimize it and then build our way up. So that's why I say chopping the blocks, one brick at a time. And then I noted my conscious recognition. What I have don't make me. What I am makes all the difference in the world. The state of consciousness I am is determining factor. I am not getting anything. I am realizing everything. My without is my within, vice versa. I hold no judgment of the fruit. And the last part, I hold no judgment of the fruit, is speaking to, I'm not attached to the fruit. This process is not about the results. The process is about the process itself. That's the jewel. Actually walking it. And this conscious recognition is important because we're not getting caught up mentally in the play of whatever's going on. I'm still holding in my awareness that I am. So that's not about me becoming anything. It's about realizing what's already there. So now is where we get into actually analyzing the data. At the top of it, I have energy spent without intention flows toward equilibrium. Energy spent with constraints build a life you want. And this was based off of a deep dive I did learning about entropy. And I would have to look over it again to really just do a deep dive of what that meant. But just know that anything you're trying to build, anything that pertains to having order, requires energy. So deeper insight into this sentence will be left in the comment. But let's get into the data. So phase 1 started December the 15th. And initially I committed to push-ups, jump rope, ab ripper X, and stretching. So for push-ups, I didn't notate it here, but did 5 sets of 10 for the push-ups. It's 11 exercises in ab ripper X, and we did 10 reps for each exercise. And for the jump rope, it was like 5 sets of 30 seconds. And then the stretch routine is like an hour. Then we moved to phase 2, January the 15th through February the 15th. And the only thing that was added was squats. And we increased the sets. So now everything was 6 sets of 10. Squats, 6 sets of 10. And I went up 2 reps on the ab ripper X to 12. Then the next 30 days, phase 3, 215 to 315. Um, we added another upper body exercise with the pull-up. 7 sets of 2. This is like I said, it's about consistency. So starting easy, nice and easy, and building up. Squats turned into 7 sets of 10. Add rep X, increase to 14 reps. And push-ups, 7 sets of 10. Phase 4 was March 15th through April the 15th. Push-ups, squats, jump ropes. Jump rope all went to 8 sets of 10. So for the jump rope, that'd be 8 sets, 30 seconds. Added a lower body movement with the squats. So now we got a single leg RDL. Pull-ups increased to 8 sets of 3 from the 7 sets of 2. And a single leg RDL is 8 sets of 10. Added the treadmill, just a mile. Add rep X, increase to 16 reps. And we still got our stretch. And then for phase 5, we switched it up. In the midst of like phase 4 and phase 5, I came across mechanical stress. And we'll talk about that and how it shaped this phase 5. But for phase 5, dips were added. Everything else is still here, but the reps changed. So we got dips, push-ups, jump rope, squats, RDL, and add rep X. These are the days. This is the current phase right now. This is the work. Let's move on. Okay, now to the results. But far as the mechanical stress, that's really just marking the switch from focusing on volume to focusing on how much tension is put on the muscle when you do the exercise. And so that's pretty much all that is. Let's move into the data now. So the frequency to start off is 7 days a week. Push-ups, jump rope, ab rep S just three times a week. And the stretching is 2 times a week. Rep sets. And based on this routine, we only seen just 0.4. So it went from 121.6 to 122. Muscle mass just changed 0.2, 105.2 to 0.4. Body fat went up some, skeletal muscle stayed the same. And BMR is in the 1400. So not too much here, but this is the phase that kicks off everything, because like it was stated, building consistency, right? We go to phase 2. Sets go up 1. Frequency stays the same. So from January to February, we seen a 0.8 increase in weight from 122 to 123.8. Muscle mass seen an increase 105.4 to 106.6. Body fat increased slightly. Skeletal muscle increased by a pound. So we starting to see some progress now. So this 2 months in. Phase 3. Still focus on volume, as we see. Just increasing the sets. Introduce pull-ups. This was 7 times a week, but since we introduced pull-ups, now it's 4 times, and then the other 3 days is pull-ups. This the only lower body exercise, so it stays at 7 times a week. Jump rope 7 times a week, etc. This phase we seen an increase from 123.8 to 125. Muscle mass still struggling, but improving, 106.6 to 107.2. Body fat increasing again. Skeletal mass, slight increase. So some progression is being made. Baseline of the BMR increased to 1472. The most recent phase was phase 4. Just completed this. Increased the sets to 8, still volume based. Introduced the single leg RDL. So now we split that between the squats and the RDL 4 times a week, 3 times a week. Added the treadmill as well. So 4 times a week on the jump rope, 3 times a week on the treadmill. Increased the sets to 16 for the ab ripper X. We've seen an increase from 125 to 126.6. Muscle mass, seen an increase of a pound. Skeletal mass, 0.6. And of course, fat went up some. BMR slightly up. So we seeing some progress, right? And just to get a baseline overview, started at 121.6, currently 126.6, 5 pounds. Put on 3 pounds of muscle, 2 pounds of body fat. BMR slightly increased. So now what's left is phase 5 to see what those results is. But that's where we stand at right now. So I had to capture this as well. So we've seen the BMRs in the 1400s. So for me, I set the goal for calorie intake every day to 1800. At the top, you can see full logging streak of 92 days. So very consistent. Once again, hitting that goal of building consistency. So today, still got 860 calories left. Let's see about yesterday. Got to 1856. Some of the foods that was eaten. So this is just another part of the journey. Still want to elevate on this side of the ledger as well, but right now the focus is just hitting the 1800. So we got 228 carbs that day, 73 on the fat, 86 on the protein. Just had to notate this as well in order for the documentation to really be thorough. And so that's pretty much the journey right now. Like I say, it's 5 arms and only 1 was covered. But that's the part of the current I wanted to hit on. So peace, love. I see you again. Today is April 20th, 2026. This is documentation.